Welcome to the Hot Chicks Write Hot Books podcast with Jen Foster and Melanie Johnson, where authors give you their inside secret tips on how to be a successful best-selling author. Hi, I'm Melanie Johnson along with Jen Foster. We're here today for Hot Chicks Write Hot Books. We are so glad to have you here today. I want to let you know that we are sponsored by Elite Online Publishing and Book Writing Retreats. So if you would like to write a book or go on one of our book writing retreats, please contact us. We would just love to help you out. So also, if you would like to go to a villa and spend it for a week and write your book, that would be awesome. So today we are so happy to have Andy Falco with us. He has written 4 books that have been bestsellers, but he has written 8 books altogether. Can you imagine? I mean, that is really ambitious. We are so excited to have him here today. He's going to give us information about how he accomplished that and all his tips and tricks. So Andy, welcome. We're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, and I want to go on all those trips. I wouldn't mind writing another book on a private, secluded island like you guys are offering your clients to go to.
We would love to have you. It is such a great experience. I mean, it's so relaxing. You come back with this real zen feeling, and you accomplish, this task of writing a book. Most people think it's monumental, and it really is an awesome experience. Yeah, so come down and play with us. We would love that.
All right, I will.
So tell us a little bit about your background and what you're an expert in and what you do and how you started writing books.
Well, I can tell you that I wasn't an expert in writing books. I was a police officer first. I became a canine handler at Anaheim Police Department, and I had a passion that I found out that I had that I really didn't know that I had, and that was in training dogs and training humans and their dogs. And so as a canine handler, I developed this passion. I saw how powerful my dog's nose was to find bad guys and to find narcotics, to search down and hunt down these guys that were running through people's backyards at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was just so exciting and fun that I really caught the bug on all the possibilities of training dogs. So it turned into a business called Falco Canine Academy, and went from training police dogs to training pet dogs, and became very popular in the circles of aggression and dogs that have aggression, and helping owners with their dogs that had those kinds of problems. So as that grew, the popularity grew. I got invited to be on television and that kind of stuff to a certain extent. But it wasn't until I decided, or not that I decided, I actually got retired from the police department. I did make the decision, a circumstance of getting in a car accident a couple times and getting some concussions and things like that. So that forced me to retire. And then just shorten the story up just a little bit, I suddenly became a business owner. I thought because I was a cop I knew everything and could run it, and realized I didn't know hardly enough. And specifically, I didn't know how to market my business. And so I took a few classes, ran into some great people like you guys in a group of people down in San Diego, and learned that book and marketing my book may be the thing that I needed to do to market my business, and that's kind of where I stand today.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember the first time we met you, and now you're a 4-time best-selling author. I love it.
Yes, I was broke and not living in my car, but at that event I was living in my car. My home was being foreclosed on because I didn't know how to run a business. I put everything I owned into the business. The divorce didn't hurt that either, but but the combination of those two things really put me in a very terrible spot. And although I do believe now that I am a talented dog trainer and talented at training people, I didn't believe it at the time. I felt maybe that modesty was a better way of handling things, and wasn't really selling myself, and I didn't think I was smart enough to write a book. And so there were a lot of missing parts that I learned that I needed to fill those gaps, and really feel confident in what I was doing.
Yeah, well, and I think that you were in the same shoes as a lot of people at that event when we first met. I know quite a few people that were in the same shoes as you, and it's interesting how a book can turn that around, and also the knowledge of building a business. But yeah, It's really, really cool.
Well, you know what I like too, the tidbit that you gave that I got out of that was the confidence. So a lot of it is the mindset of where you're at. If you're telling yourself that you can't do something, that you're not good enough, you've lost your confidence, you've been knocked down, and once you've gotten that, and whether it was the book that helped you get that, writing the book may have helped you do that, but telling yourself a different story. So that is so cool. So how did you went to this event in San Diego, and then how did you actually pull yourself up and get the confidence to start to write, and how did you go about writing it?
Well, I just had to, right? So my house is being foreclosed on. I have small children. Like I said, I was getting ready. I had the sheriff, which were actually friends of mine, mailing a notice on my door that I needed to move out in 30 days, and literally was sleeping in my car at this event, and so I had no choice but to listen to what they were saying, and it just said, if we're all experts in something, right? I could be an expert in failure. I could be an expert in whatever it is that I've been doing as a living as a police officer, and so essentially what I learned is that there's always something somebody else needs to learn from where you're at that point in your life. And so my strength at that point was obviously dog training, and I had to realize that I was an expert and accept the fact that I was an expert, and then begin writing what I knew down. And not to worry about the process of writing things down. So the two things were the confidence to tell people that I was an expert and to own it. And I just literally had to look in the mirror and say, "You're an expert. So what are you doing?" Not acting like one. So that was number one. And number two, I just began to write. And I got to tell you, I'm in the police academy. One of my struggles in the police academy was the spelling test we had every Friday. I still had trouble spelling the word restaurant. I would confuse where the AU was, if it was at the beginning or was it in the middle. And so, I mean, that's how poor of a literary author I am, right? But yet, I'm now the author of 8 books, 2 of them bestsellers, and another 2 that are international bestsellers. And simply all you really got to do is begin to write. So to answer the last part of that question is that I just simply had to not care about grammar, about spelling, about even the structure of the paragraphs. I'd learned from something I had from that event that they said simply just begin to write. There's always people that you can find that will edit it for you, that will put it in a format that is readable, and so that's the second part of the story. The first part is just simply getting in front of my computer and just writing stuff down. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, so then you wrote your book, and then you said then you had to figure out somebody to edit it and format it and all that. So tell us about the process of that.
Well, I had also learned in that event and some research on the internet that there's some websites you can go to, and of course my mind is going blank on a few of them, but you got, of course, Fiverr, you got 99 Designs, you got and the one that I found my editor was not on either one of those because I wasn't aware of them at that time, but it was like experts.com or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. And so what I did is I told people you have a form that you can put out exactly what you're looking for. And for my first book, it was a little bit of a Christian book-based story. That it was about dogs, it was about my life as a police officer, and so I wrote out exactly what the book was about, and I wanted people that had experience, obviously, in biblical theology and that kind of thing, because I didn't want to mess around with getting a verse wrong or attaching it to the wrong subject and that kind of stuff. And sure enough, I had 7 people bid on the project, and I went through the resumes and had conversations with them and chose Victoria, who did a fantastic job of actually putting my book together. I wrote probably 95% of it, and she assisted with writing 5% of it, and it was completely done, and she was essentially just the editor and did a fantastic job, and that book has served me well. And then the second one I wrote, just want to mention it because that's actually the more important one, is one called Dog Sniff Evidence. And that's one that I used to really create a business around. So the first one was a passion book. The second one was really using the book to create a business.
Right. Well, and tell us didn't you, because of that book, because of your Sniff book, whatever it's called, didn't you have a whole country hire you to train their dogs, or how did that happen?
Yes, so the dog sniff evidence book is really on narcotics detection dogs, on to help attorneys understand cases that they may be involved in that involve the narcotics detection dog, or even dog that does tracking and that kind of stuff. So that obviously detection dog work involves bomb dogs, narcotics dogs, and all kinds of different narcotic detection dogs. And so when somebody does research on the internet, and says, hey, we're looking for the best of the best in detection dog world, because I was an international best-selling author with that particular book, of course my information comes up. That leads them to my website and other things that I've been doing, and that puts me at the top of the list. For some reason, being an author puts you at the top of most lists, because people perceive an author, especially an international best-selling author, as an expert above all other experts that are out there. And so, yes, an entire country in the Middle East decided to hire me to consult them on the creating a bomb detection dog program within their country, and wrote me a check.
Awesome. That's so exciting.
Really changed the dynamic of your business. About how much time did it take you to write? How much would you suggest someone set aside to write a book?
Well, the first one, because it was my first one, and I was still a little bit worried and scared, took me a little bit longer. It took me a couple months. But as I've gone forward, and I'm sure following the techniques that you guys are going to teach your clients is the same one I'm following now, and I've gotten down to where I could write a book within a week. Dog Sniff Evidence, actually I wrote that book probably in about 9 days, from writing it to getting it edited. Strangely enough, the longest part of the book was deciding on the cover and the back cover. That actually took more to write the book. Really strange. And I'm not even happy with that now. So I actually want to republish that book and get a new cover. But it's right around, I would say, just about 2 weeks to write the book now that we're following. All of us are following a system that really is powerful. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to write your book anymore. The last book that I wrote, which was a book for dog trainers, I almost dictated probably about 90% of that book. And so I didn't have to write 90% of that book. It was just all dictating into my phone, and I handed it over to a transcriber who completely wrote the book for me. So it's amazing how much smarter you get about writing books once you've done a couple.
Yeah, very true. So tell us some do's and don'ts. What have you learned so far that you won't do again the next time you write?
Well, I don't let the little guy on their shoulder that says that you can't do something bother me anymore. I've actually pretty much washed that person away, or that voice out of my head. It really is bad for any of us to listen to that voice that tells us that we can't do anything, because and I also hate the people that say you can do anything you put your mind to. No, that's also wrong. What you want to do is not let things hold you back from trying, right? I can't be a brain surgeon. I know that for sure, because I've never studied. I'm not going to open somebody's brain. But I do know the things that I know. As a woman who's been either in a struggling situation, maybe they were in a marriage with an abusive husband or something like that, and they've been able to get out of it and get on their own, get work of their own, and raise their children, get them through school and that kind of stuff. They are an expert in that particular thing right there. So it doesn't have to be in a business. It could just be in getting over struggling situations in your life. And other people are going to value that information, and they need to hear it. And if they don't hear it from you, they may not never hear it. So you owe it to the world to get it out there. So don't let the voice stop that from happening. There's so many valuable things that you have in you, every one of us have in us, that needs to be out, and the book is the best place to start.
Yeah. So would you say that having a system, you talked about the systems that we use, and we use similar systems because we all met each other together at our convention. So would you say that those are useful? Should someone wanting to start a book connect themselves with somebody who is a publisher or someone who has these systems to make it easier for them?
Yeah, don't try to to just sit down and figure it all out yourself. You know, it was so much easier for me to meet people like you guys and ask how you did it, and it just sped things up so quickly. The very first book I wrote before Walking with God and a Dog, I struggled. It took me months. It maybe took me a year to write my first dog training manual. And it's still horrible, and the editing is bad. I still get notes from people who read that book and say, do you know, on page 39, that paragraph doesn't make any sense? Just because I tried to do everything myself, right? And, it was just horrible. So what I learned is that you can get your word out, whether it's by typing away without worrying about punctuation and grammar, or speaking into a microphone and having somebody transcribe it. But that's where you need to hand that part over to the thing that you're not good at. So do the things you're good at, and that is put out your message, and then allow somebody else that's better at it to do that part, which is the structuring. The Falco Walking with God and a Dog, as a matter of fact, I had paragraph that's now paragraph 2 in paragraph, or not in chapter 2 in chapter 6. And Victoria said, you know, it doesn't belong there. And when she changed it from chapter 6 to chapter 2, it changed the book entirely and made it so much better. And I might not have ever done that. And so that's why you need somebody else. And these people aren't as expensive as you might think. There's so many resources out there. So make sure and hand those things over to other people that can do them far better than you can.
That's great. I love all your advice you've given. It's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing with the Healthy Dog Network. I saw today you have some great videos out there. You just started a Kickstarter campaign. What are you doing with the Healthy Dog Network?
Well, since I've gotten out of my rut and out of my my struggles with finances, and I saved my house. That's one thing you should know. Because of the book I wrote, I was able to save my house.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I want to make sure people know that there was a lot of positives that came out of this. My quote now for working with anybody is $300 an hour in regards to dog training and that kind of stuff. So you think a dog trainer charges $300 an hour? Yes, I charge $300 an hour, and I get paid $300 an hour. I have a retainer of $3,000. So it's just really important for me to spell that out, not to tell you how great I am, but I'm the same person now as I was when I was broke. It's just now I'm a lot smarter at what I do now, and I've accepted the fact that I'm an expert, which all of your watchers and listeners need to pay attention to. So what that's done is has moved me into a position of authority in the dog world. And so now I'm creating what's called the Healthy Dog Network, which is going to allow me to invite other experts into the network, which is essentially a television network on the internet, podcasts, and eventually we will write a book on how to create a healthier dog environment. And we're going to just do everything we can to make sure that we weed through all the information that has to do with dog food, dog supplements, dog training techniques, shampoos. It's going to be from the mind, body, and bowl. And all those things in between, and it's gonna be an outstanding project. I just know it. We've already had a couple podcasts that we begin to put together, but that's our plan. The Healthy Dog Network is going to be huge, and we're hoping that it's going to be able to help a lot of dog owners out there, whether that's a working dog or a pet dog.
Well, we will definitely subscribe to you. We hope you subscribe to us, too. So that reminds me, for all our viewers, please subscribe to us and refer us, as well as Andy's new podcast coming out. Make sure you refer it to your friends and listeners.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about the Healthy Dog Network. I am a cat owner, and growing up I was a dog and cat owner, but being the situations that I've been in, me and my kids haven't had a dog. So now we're going to be getting a dog in January. I'm really excited. And I get to learn how to train my dog from you, so I'm really excited about that. So I'll definitely be tuning in on the podcast and learning everything I can, because I trained my dog when I was growing up, but I was little, and I'm sure it's different now, and I'm going to have my kids to help them to train the dog the same that I'm training the dog. So that'll be really fun.
Well, we hope to have some stuff in there for kids too, helping kids understand how to take care of the dogs, and that's one of their responsibilities and that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of little kids from 2 years old up to 21 and everything in between. And so they're all going to be part of some of the training that we're going to put together. We're going to have membership sites that you can actually sign into and get step-by-step training. step by step how to feed your dog, a proper diet, and so forth and so on. So it'll be good for everybody.
Well, there's so much different stuff out there. Like a few of my friends who have dogs, one of them's feeding them whatever, table scraps, whatever, and the other one's like, oh, they only buy this dog food at PetSmart that costs like outrageous amounts of money, and then the other one's feeding them like rice. You know, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know. I'm like thinking, do I just buy the cheap pet food at Walmart? What am I going to feed this dog I'm going to get? I have no idea.
The answer is no.
Yeah. Well, and even my other neighbor, they have a little dog, and she said he's a really picky eater, and he'll only eat Vienna sausages that are from Gerber baby food. I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much craziness out there. I'm like, I don't want to buy Gerber baby food for my dog.
So the point is, you're really needed. Okay, this network
you are very needed.
Is a fantastic niche to have. Tell us, give us 3 of your best marketing tips that you used when you were promoting your book, and then it took you to another level, like getting this whole country or doing other things that help propel you. What are 3 great marketing tips when you're writing a book?
Well, I think I always have to steal a couple of these tips from some really good friends of ours, like Pam and Ed and Mike, which are all mentors of mine, and I'm sure mentors of yours. But the first one is knowing what they call as your avatar, knowing who it is that you are speaking to, who's going to be your audience. So mine, obviously, is dog owners, but that's way too broad, right? So anybody that has a dog isn't going to work. What you have to really do is narrow it down to who your best customer is, and her name's Sally Frost, and she's a woman who likes to rescue Newfoundlands. She's married. She has kids. They have a really decent income. They're not extraordinarily rich, but they have a good income, right? And so whenever I create any of my advertisement, I'm always speaking to Sally because she's the one I want to sell to. Obviously, if you're going to try to make money, you don't want to sell to people that don't have money, right? And so if your avatar must contain whatever it is that's going to allow you to be able to make a living. Once you make a living, you can give away all the money that you want, but you have to make that living first before you can help anybody. So having that avatar is extremely important. The next thing I actually struggle with, but I know is really important, and that's when I'm speaking, whether it's on a video or in one of my podcasts, is that I want to try to remember to speak to one person, not to a crowd. I have this bad habit of saying, hey guys, how you doing? And you know, it could be a bunch of women that I'm talking to, and I say, hey guys, what are you doing? It really doesn't make sense. So I really try to focus on saying, hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. And I really try to speak to a person as if I'm speaking to one person. That really will allow the person to connect with you a little bit better than if you're trying to cover a broad spectrum. Again, people want to feel like you're actually speaking to who they are and what they want out of life and what they want out of the product you are serving. So those are the first 2. Did you ask me 3? I don't know if I could come up with a third.
Okay.
Really fast.
Those 2 are both really good ones. I really like both of those.
You know, when I was a newscaster, they used to tell me when I was starting out, picture a guy in a lounge chair in the recliner with a beer, and he's the guy you're talking to. Like, you got to relate to him. Talk slow enough, clear enough, and just he's your guy.
Yes. I guess the third one, if I should have a third one, is the one that I kind of start off with, and that's you just got to have confidence in yourself. You're never going to like yourself on camera. You're never going to like the way your voice sounds. You're never going to like your little giggle or laugh. Like I have a little giggle or laugh that drives me crazy. But you really just got to get past that, and that is difficult for some people about how they look. And I'm not. Hopefully this isn't sexist, but women really seem to have trouble with how they look on camera. They go, oh, I'm not ready, and that kind of stuff. You just got to get over some aspect of what it is you don't like about yourself, because most people probably love you and love the way you look, and you're the most critical person about how your voice sounds and about your laugh and about the way you look. So just get over it. You are beautiful. Both of you guys are beautiful, and you just got to get past that. It's never going to change. If you're waiting for that to change to be successful, you'll never be successful.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. Give us your website and the name of a couple of your books. I know you're on at a promotion, so you don't have your books with you to hold them up for us. Yeah. But tell us where we can reach you.
Well, the website for our dog training business is Falco Canine Academy. That's FALCO, the letter K, the number 9, academy.com. And then the other one's easy, the Healthy Dog Network. And both those websites are up. They both have Facebook pages that go along with them. And probably the best book that I would like to tell you to get out and reach right now and just learn about who I am and where I've been, and that's Falco, Walking with God and the Dog. That's one of my favorite books. It just tells the story. And then all the other books you'll find just by putting my name in Amazon. You probably should be able to find it.
Sounds great.
Terrific. You know, one of the things you do right, if anyone wants to do a podcast or get on camera, is you smile while you're talking. So
Yes.
that's huge. You know, it gives you great energy. So we want to thank you for spending your time with us here at Hot Chicks Write Hot Books. We're sponsored by Elite Online Publishing. If you'd like us to publish your book, we would be more than happy to do that. You can go to eliteonlinepublishing.com. If you would like to come to one of our book writing retreats, go to bookwritingretreats.com, and you can spend an incredible week down at a villa on the beach, writing your book on the beach and at our private pool with our private chef that comes every morning. And you will have your book finished by the end of the week. So we would love that as well. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to us. Hit that subscribe button. Please leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. And tell all your friends about us. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
For more information, visit hotchickswritehotbooks.com.